Hi guys, new video today. Today I'm going to review Rise of the Duelist, the full set with TCG rarities. And I gotta admit, this is a very money heavy set. Like, if you are one of those budget players, you're really not going to like this set. Like, unless you play like Infernoble Knights, which is still not a budget deck, it's quite expensive because of Renault, the extra deck and Gear Freed in Toon Chaos, so it's not that cheap. So the only cheap decks out of this are maybe like the melffies and the other legacy support, but that's pretty much it. So first up, the secret rares. I already ranked them from best to worst in my opinion. I think the cards at the left are going to have more value than the cards at the right, so I'm going to explain you a bit. First up, three tactical talents. This card is super impressive. Like if you go first, and you are going to have two choices. To punish your opponent further with the forceful sentry-like effect, which is basically just check your opponent's hand and return one card there to their deck, so you can prevent further interruption of your combo by returning an extra hand trap to your hand, or you can search your deck for more extenders if you don't have them available. So it's just basically a better form of Called by the Grave, so this card's super impressive for going first. And even then, the card has a lot of value going second, because if they negate something with Gorilla Savage, you can basically activate this and steal another stuff, another thing, another card, so that's going to be really good for you eventually. So this is a great card. I think this is going to be the most expensive card in the set, but not by a lot, because we have Forbidden Drop. This card is not great, but as things stand now, the card's super important because we have a current problem in TCG, and that current problem is that no hand trap is individually good enough. So we need to at least open two hand traps to stop our opponent's push when going second. Like every competitive deck can push through a hand trap like nothing. Like Noble Knights can do it, Emancipator can do it, Eldritch Synchron can't, but they are going to stop you with traps and hand traps, and it's going to be pretty much moot. Like, yeah, it's not a great situation to be in, because they want to simplify the game state and then basically get you through card advantage, so it's not great for you either. Then the other combo decks like Dragon Link, it's one hand trap like nothing, so it's basically just pointless to open one hand trap. You need to open at least two. That means that we are in a current situation where opening board breaking cards is usually better. The problem is that we don't have good board breaking cards anymore. Like the closest we have is Dark Ruler no more, and people started playing like Calamities or the Buster Dude to equip to Boris Savage to prevent the issue of being blown out by Dark Ruler no more. So in this scenario, Forbidden Droplet is definitely going to help you to break boards. And while it is basically a bad Dark Ruler no more, it's 3 more copies of Dark Ruler no more, so that's going to be important, and it's going to have an impact in people's side deck. So this card is going to be pricey as well. I think that this card is going to be above 70 bucks, and this card should be around 70 bucks. Like, that's more or less the split I'm expecting. Then we have dragmas. Dragmas are tier 1 deck right out of that, and we have the Searcher, the hand trap, and this card is weird because it's basically an extender that sets up your window play. So all of them are going to be played. Like, this is a 3-off. I don't think this card is a 3-off, but I have seen people run like any number from 1 to 3. I think 2 is closer to the actual number people is going to play, but it can definitely still be a 3-off. And Maximus Dragma, it's a 1 or a 3-off. I have never seen it being played at 2, but it's either 1 or 3, so it is going to depend. I think the Disciple of the Nether is going to be the most expensive card out of the 3. Then we have the Fleur de Lis, which is going to have a moderate price tag, and then Maximus Dragma, which is going to be the cheapest of the 3. I think this is going to be like 40 to 50. This thing should be like 30 to 40, and this thing is going to be 20 to 30. Then we have the filler, which is Odice Revolution Dragon, Albus Nullius Filius, and Emancipator Friends. Like, Emancipator Friends is going to be the worst secret rare out of the bunch because it's not going to see play, at least not now. As long as Adamantipator's have blocked dragon, they don't have any need to play a lot of the team support. So this card is just not going to be played, and I don't know when it is going to be played, so it's not going to have any value, like $5 at most. Then Albus Nullius Filius, this is a good card. The problem is that the deck is not complete, and he's the card suffering the most out of that because he needs all of the fusions. Like Phantom Rising, which is the next set, is going to have another fusion. So basically this guy needs those other fusions to be able to compete for the main deck slot that Aleister is taking off right now. So it's not going to have much of a value as of right now, but this could become a good card later down the road. So I predict like $5 to $10. Then Odaifa Evolution Dragon, this is a good card. And the only reason it's not going to be completely devoid of value right out of the gate is because it can be used by Dragon Link decks, so that's going to give it some playability. So I expect this to be 10 to 20. That's pretty much it. As you can see, outside of Adamantipator Friends and Nullius Filius, all of the other cards are going to have significant value, so you are not going to be opening a bad, and I quote, a bad box that often. Then we have two extra cards. Bastard the Ancient Dragon, which is not its TCG name, unfortunately, that's a super cool name, and Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Demonic Dragon. At first, we have Bastard the Ancient Dragon, which, unlike Albus Nullius Filius, is going to see play, but only as a one-off. Maybe later, as the deck evolves, this card is going to be played as a 2 or 3-off, but as of right now, it's a simple one-off, and it's just to mill it with Maximus or the Searcher, so it's just basically a toolbox option rather than a main player. So I expect this card to have some value, but not a lot. It's basically just going to be like $5 to $10, like the Nullius Filius. And finally we have Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Demonic Dragon, which is a great card. This card is going to see play. I don't think it's going to be pricey, like it's going to be like 10 to 20, but it's going to see play, a lot of play in Chaos Dragons. It's going to see a lot of play. This card is super naughty. Like, it's basically just sending 5 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and that's super impressive. Then we have the Starlights, which are basically 3 tactical talents. Expect a similar price tag to Lightning Storm. Then we have Ecclesia, the Dragma Saint, which is going to be pricey as well because it's waifu and waifus have tags. Then we have the Didicrow, which should be a bit less expensive than Effect Bailer, and it's also way weaker than Effect Bailer, but it's still playable, so it's going to have value. Then we have Wind, the Wind Medium, which is basically a bad card, but people likes them, and the Charmers still have value. And then Gaia, the Magical Dragon Champion, which is the cover card. This card is basically a joke. Like, I think this is going to be one of the cheapest Starlights. It's only going to be above like the Bad Dragon Trap, which is like $150. So yeah, you're going to be salty if you pull this instead of any of this, especially any of these 3. But even then, the Wind is better than the Gaia. That's it for the secrets. I see enough value, so we're good. Then we're going to review the ultras. We have Ecclesia as the best ultra rare you can pull. This card's an important 3-off in the Dragma deck. Like, you can even run a Dragma deck with her 3, like, there's no point. She's super good. She can be a normal summon, she can be an extender, and she basically sets up the whole plan. She needs to be at 3. She's going to be, I don't know, ultra rare prices are hard to predict, but I think she's going to be like $20, $20 to $30. Then we have Infernoble Arms Durandal, which is basically just a searcher, and is in the same boat as Ecclesia, but for a less relevant meta deck that is still going to see play anyway. So I expect this card to be in the same price range as Ecclesia, if not more. Why more? Because Infernoble Knights are of lower rarity, so the demand should be increased compared to Ecclesia. Dragma, while might be a better deck, is so expensive that a lot of people might not want to buy into it. So there's always that into account. So I predict this to be hitting closer to $30. No, I don't know, I could be wrong because ultras are super hard to predict, unlike the secret rares, but we shall see. Then we have Wakimeru Supplier, which is an amazing card for Adamantipator. It's basically just an extender, and it's a level 4 rock extender, which is super good for the deck. It's something the deck needed. and that's it. It can also search for the Guardian. I don't know, I haven't found many uses for the Guardian in your hand, but it's nice to have an extra discard for IP or an extra banish for Block Dragon, so that's that. But regardless of that, the extender effect is a good one. Then we have Shadow Rook, which in TCG is Shadow Schism. This card's really good. Uh, like the best possible support for a Shadow deck was like a Necrofusion, and they got a theme Necrofusion, so that's really good. Not only that, this is an important dragma card, because dragma make great use of this card because of Abkalon. Remember that the other card, that the searcher, that the dragma searcher, this thing can send like El Shadow Abkalon to the graveyard, so you can add this card from your deck to your hand, and you only need a dark monster to summon Winda because Abkalon is already the shadow, so you only need any dark monster and you're going to be able to access Winda. That's why it's super good. It's a one-off in the dragma deck, but in a shadow deck this is going to be a 2 or 3 off. It's super good. The problem is that shadows are not relevant, but I expect this to be like 10 to 20 boxes. It's a good card. Then we have the Kismek, Kitsune, I think it's the name in English. And this card's super good because it basically destroys a whole build with its special summon. It's super easy to be a special summon when you go second because it only requires 2 or more extra deck monsters to be face up on the field. So you're basically going to try and nuke your opponent with this big beater. So that's super great. Like, this card's going to see play. I think it's going to be in the same price range as Shadow Rook, like 10 to 20 bucks, but it's super great. It's going to see play. So then we have Draconian Prison of the Snow and the Sky. This card is A. I don't think it's that good, but it's going to see some play in some trap decks. I don't like it personally. I have a hard time seeing this card being more than 5 bucks, but we shall see. Then we have Dead Reef, the Ephemeral Fish. This card's super great. The problem is that it's super great in a bad deck or in a deck with not a lot of options. I have an upcoming profile of a fish deck to showcase how good this card is. The problem is that fishes are not going anywhere. If you can buy these things for a buck or something, buy them and keep them. These cards are super good and are worth having. Buy them alongside a playset of Nimble cards because it's super good. Like, I can't lie to you, this card's super great. And even if fish are going nowhere, it's worth having it around, because when fish are good and this card is not reprinted, the card is going to be 20-30 bucks quite easily because it's broken. It's Armageddon like type cards are always super broken. Then we have a Speedroid card Turbo, which is a good card for Speedroids, but again, Speedroids are not exactly relevant. Kudos to the 3 Speedroid fans out there. Then we have Seleclea, which is a good card. The problem is that you don't have that many options to special summon it quite easily, but it's a good card because the effect is quick effect, and what it basically does is allow you to target one monster your opponent controls with less attack or the same attack than this card and take control of it. So it's basically just disruption or extender at the same time. It's a great card. The problem is that it's not super easy to play, but it's a good card. Then we have the Win. This was a waste of ultra rare slot. This card's bad. I don't know, I tried the Charmer deck and this card I did nothing. I actually cut it out of the deck because the main players are the big fox and the big rat, and this girl was basically doing nothing. Maybe she's better in win decks, but she's not great in Charmers. And then Bombarding Gaia, the Calvul Turtle. Like, this card is good, but the problem is that Gaias are not good, so I have a hard time seeing it over $1. Then we have the extra deck cards. Like, Charl is actually the best extra deck card in the ultra rare slots by a far margin. He's likely one of the best synchros printed and legal at the moment. Yeah, he takes 2 extra deck slots in your deck and also takes an extra additional main deck slot. But it's super impressive because of a smoke grenade. It's basically a trident with a confiscation in one single card. It's totally worth it. I have seen OCG profiles running like Roland, Smoke Grenade and Shot because of that, because this card's so powerful. It's much more powerful than Boris Savage, because you can actually look at their hand and defeat a lot of counters that could break you before they even have a chance to be activated, so it's super great. Then we have the Rika Queen, which helps the deck, but the Rika are going nowhere, so it's trash. I have a hard time seeing it breaking the $5 mark. And then we have the Melffy of the Forest. This deck's super awful. Like, I don't think I have tried a deck as bad as Melffy. Like, I have a hard time believing that a deck that can use like Obedience School and Rescue Cat being so terrible, but it happened, guys. This deck is such a meme. It's really bad. Finally, just the supers. I'm going to cover them super quickly, but my thoughts are that supers are not great in general. I mean, it was to be expected, but even then I was super disappointed by the supers. Like, the selection is so weird, and we have a lot of the dragma cards as supers, but they didn't even need to be supers because Fragments as a whole don't need them and are not going to play them, so you're basically just pulling trash. First up, the best super rare in my opinion is Infernoble Knight Olivia, which is basically just going to be played in every version of the Noble Knights, being 60, 40, Ignite, whatever version you are thinking of is going to be running Olivia at multiples. It's a great extender, so yeah, this card's the best that could happen to you in this pool. Then we have Infernoble Knight Ogia, which is basically the same boat as Olivia. It's a great card. Then Astolfo, which is not as great as the other two, but it's not bad. Like, the first effect shouldn't be a once per duel, but the second effect, actually I can understand why. But even then, it's just another free extender, which is important for the deck because it can become level 4 or level 5, which is important for some of the combos, so this card's okay. Then we have the Megalith Fool, which is a great card from Megalith. It transforms Megalith from a piece of unplayable crap to playable, so this is going to be an important card. Then we have the Scythe and the Dolphin, which make fluffals more playable. Then we have the Keystone, which is actually quite good for what it is. It's a generic card that can special summon itself and recycle your banished pile, so it's good. Then we have the Dragma Punishment, which is likely going to see play at 0 or 1 off in Dragma decks, but it's going to see play. Then the Mad Mech card. The Mad Mech card is super good for the deck. The problem again is that Mad Mechs are going nowhere, but it's likely that I should put this card, like, I don't know, at just sheer value I should put them here. Put it here because it transforms an unplayable deck into a playable one, so that's it. Then we have the Dragon Maid Cleanup, which is a good card for the deck. Not impressive, but another option you can use. Then we have Adding, which is basically just an extender, which is okay, but nothing spectacular. All of the Dragmas do the same thing. Then we have the Melffy tags. Like, Melffies are terrible, like, this is basically a bad pool. Then more Melffies. Fuck this deck, super bad. Like, I was super hyped for this deck at first because I was, wow, you have a bunch of great starters like Rescue Rabbit, Rescue Cat, Obedience School, and then the deck was just crap. Like, it doesn't matter how many broken cards you can have, if at the end of the day the deck is just crappy. Then we have Rebellious Dark Lord, which is needed to summon the fusion, but it's not a great card. The only reason it's higher in the pecking order is because the other two cards are even worse. So yeah, the other two cards are not even worth talking about. Then the best extra deck card is Rhino Saber. This card could actually end up sync play in some decks for some degenerate combos. It's a good card, no doubt. Then we have the Raid Raptor Arsenal Falcon. Like, the two Raid Raptors fans out there have been waiting for this card for years now. I'm happy for them, but I don't think it's going to be relevant. Even with the new support, it's not going to be relevant, but it's good for them. Same boat as the super heavy Samurai Scarecrow. This card, like the Ancient Warrior card, it's a good card for the deck, but the deck is terrible beyond salvation, so I don't think this is going to have any impact at all. Then this card is only high in the pecking order because the other cards are worse, but it's a bad card. Like, dude, I don't know, like, a bricky deck don't need more bricks. Then we have Gaia. I think it's only here because why not, but it should be here, like, maybe here, it's better than this. But guys, this is so terrible. Like, all of these cards are so bad, especially infuriating the Perform Apollo Dice Metal Claw. Like, this card is super outdated and no one is going to play it. I'm super happy with the secret rare slots and the starlight slots. I'm for the most part happy for the ultra rare slots, but I'm not super convinced of the super rare slots. Regardless, they are some of the worthless cards in the set. Like, no individual super is going to be worth more than $1, so it really doesn't matter in the great scheme of things. But it was worth noting that, yeah, the super rare selection isn't great. So that's pretty much it for today. See you on the next, guys.